Coming up in today's video, guys, we've got the most impacted earwax I've done in a very long time. This wax plug is very, very deep inside the ear canal. Patient has been using some Q-tips. They admitted to that themselves. We can see it anyway because wax, as we know it, this sort of darker color wax, you can see this thicker type of wax here, doesn't appear this deep inside the ear canal. This has been pushed down in there, and what's happened here, it's just been pushed over and over and over again and squashed and compressed together right on top of the eardrum. This was such a difficult removal to do. Now we've got the standard size ulnar tube in here, and what I'm doing is trying to break the surface of this plug down. Now what's happened here altogether is we have this layer of wax that's built up, and because it's been compressed down on top of that eardrum, the natural epithelial migration has been interrupted. And what we've ended up with is a lot of dead skin forming behind this plug, which is going to cause us a lot more issues because it's just coming off the eardrum. It's attached to the eardrum, but it's coming off in layers. So this is going to be a real tough old one to do. And you can see I am really struggling to find any purchase. Now, normally what happens with these more kind of impacted plugs is that you'll start to work the edges and they'll start to fold in on themselves a little bit, and then you'll start to really get this peel going. But I can't even get anything to fold on here. The surface is just almost gone sort of dry and crumbly. So there's no real sort of thick consistency to get a good grip on there. It's just crumbling away as we pass over. So I've popped some olive oil in here just to try and help out. Now what you might see is just around the edge, you can see that almost sort of cream layer around the outside edge. That's actually dead skin. Now sometimes we can exploit that and lift it and peel it back, but it's such a thin layer. I'm struggling even to get that dead skin away. There we go. Now we're trying to pull down from the top. You'll see that sort of flap of dead skin just pulling there. Now we can only now just start to see the very, very tippy top of the eardrum there. So right at the top, the pars flaccida. And now you can see just how impacted this is against the eardrum. So obviously patient, what would they be experiencing with this wax or this deep? Lots and lots of hearing issues. As a rule of thumb, the deeper the wax goes, the more problems it causes as far as your day-to-day hearing, especially when it's squashed against the eardrum like it is here. They'd also be getting some mild discomfort as well, because what you're getting is a lot of the nerve supply in the canal and the pinna, the outer portion of the ear canal, and even to a certain radius around the face here. It's all supplied around that ear canal, and what you can find is branches of the nerve will stimulate different areas. So sometimes patients, if they've got wax, particularly this deep against the eardrum, the nerve that supplies there is also going to give you some altered sensation around the outside of your ear and head there. So patient would be experiencing some discomfort sort of emanating around this area here, sometimes down into the jawline just below the ear, and that's the kind of thing they would have been they've been suffering with. But lots and lots of sort of really, really impacted wax here. I'm trying to peel from the eardrum. I'm really struggling to peel this away. Let's see if we can lift from the bottom. Gosh, it is just not budging. It is a really, really difficult odor removal to do. Now, what we did manage to do is uncover some of the eardrum there when we put the olive oil in, which just helps to loosen and soften that wax. So I think at various stages through this removal, I'm going to be introducing a little bit more, there you go, right on cue, introducing a little bit more olive oil, and that's going to help to soften the layer, the surface layer. Then I'm going to break that down using the suction, just going to take a lot of this surface layer away, and then we'll introduce a bit more olive oil to soften the next layer, and just keep rinsing and repeat, keep doing the same process over and over again until we can get this out. But this poor patient, they were struggling so much. You can even see when I got a grip on the top there how that oil now is leaking back down to the bottom, just trying to get underneath this remaining wax here. So let's give this a little bit more of a tug. I'm trying to lift it out of that recess. I'm trying to pull it out of that recess to try and get it along. And you can see there's a little bit of flex there. I'm always cautious with this, so when you start to see a little bit of flexion to the wax, is how stuck this is to the eardrum. Are we actually flexing the eardrum beyond, or is this just the wax starting to peel away? So at this point, I'm constantly checking in with the patient because we can't see the eardrum at the moment. You can't put a tool in here because this is right on top of the drum. So if you put a tool in there, you're going to be pushing against the drum. So I'm constantly asking the patient, are you okay? Is everything feeling all right? You know, are you okay for me to continue? And this patient, fair play, they were, yep, absolutely fine. I'm not really feeling anything at all. Just carry on, lots of pulling sensations. It's not hurting, it's not uncomfortable. So fair play, they did so well. They were such a trooper. But we're getting this now. We're getting a bit of movement. certainly to that top portion of the wax there. We just uncovered another section of the eardrum. See how this is really starting to move now, but this is the first bit of movement we've actually managed to get, and we've been working on this for probably a good kind of 5 minutes now. I really, really want to get this section. I think if I can peel this section, it's going to be the sort of linchpin, the key to everything else. Let's see if we can get that section there. Oh, you can show a little tiny bit of flexion there to the eardrum beyond as well, but we've got to get this off. The longer this stays on, the harder this is going to get, and the more difficult this is going to be to remove. There we go. We're starting. You can see that movement just starting to happen. If I can find the edge of this piece to the right hand side, it's going to make a big difference. Now, normally, if we were working this deep in the canal, I'd normally have switched down to the fine end now, but just because of how tough this wax is, because this patient's been just pushing and pushing and pushing this in with the Q-tips there, the fine end is just not going to cut the mustard here. It's just not going to be able to pull this off, have the suction power to draw this off the eardrum. There we go. Look at that, starting to appear, that white underlayer here. This is all dead skin. This is skin that's been, that sort of epithelial migration has been interrupted. This is building layers and layers and layers of dead skin on top of the drum, hanging on to. So you've got one side of it's hanging on to the eardrum. The other side of it's hanging on to the wax. So it's a real difficult sort of balancing act to get this off without causing any issues as far as that eardrum is concerned. But we're now, see how we've loosened that top section? We can start to see it moving from left to right. So we loosened that right hand side. Now we're going to go in, try and loosen the left. More olive oil going in again. That's going to help. When we're wiggling it back and forth, it's going to help the oil to penetrate in behind that plug to loosen that skin as well. Let's try and lift from the bottom. You can see I've got the grip. I'm trying to pull, but the whole thing is just got so many anchor points hanging on to the canal wall. It's really, really difficult to get this away. We are almost there. Let's pull this. There we go. Now look at that skin layer. We talked about that skin layer earlier, lifting from the canal wall. Look how that is peeled away from the left down to the bottom of the canal there. Let's give this a little bit more of a wiggle up. I've got it moving. You can see it's still hanging on for dear life there. I've got that bottom section. Let's see if we can hold on to that skin. There we go. And away that plug comes. We had a patch of olive oil on the way out there, which has made everything go a little bit misty. But that's come away. They've got a little bit of wax here at the bottom. There is a layer of dead skin here. Now, how is this going to come away? It's still hanging on really, really tightly there. Our bottom section's moved. What's this left-hand side looking like? Can we get this away? Ooh, we saw a little bit of a flex to the drum there. I'm just going to put the fine end on and see if we can hold on to it with the fine end. I don't want to hit that hammer bone. I'm pulling, but this is hanging on. This is not ready to come off yet. This is basically really welded to that drum. Now, the difficulty you have here is knowing when to stop. Okay, and this is the key to it, and this is why this is my biggest bugbear when we've got people are only just opening after a day's course, trying to attempt stuff like this, is knowing that that piece of skin there is rock solid onto that skin. Now that's on the skin of the eardrum, I should say, so on the surface epithelial layer of the eardrum. If I try and pull that and peel it, what's going to happen is I've got the potential of rupturing that drum. I don't want to do that. We don't want the patient to leave with more issues than they came in with. We have to have a duty of care to this patient. So what I would say for that particular section there is I'd let the patient go away and use some olive oil. Really soften that skin, and then we'll follow that patient up, and that skin will come away like a dream. It will just peel away really nicely because the oil can get to where it needs to go. Exactly the same kind of issue going on the other side, but luckily here it hadn't been in there as long, so the skin hadn't formed that sort of bonding layer between the eardrum and the back of the wax plug. So that has actually come away really nicely. We've just got this layer to peel away here at the top. So we're just going to drop that with a fine end. There we go. You can see this has gone crumbly. It's dry. The wax is older wax, so it's kind of really dried out and gone super, super crumbly. There we go. That's gone away. Let's see if we can get this section from that. There we go, from the eardrum. That's come away really nicely. I'm really pleased with that. There's a little pool of olive oil, which will cause some sort of hearing dampening. So let's just suction that away as well. There we go. You can see the level just going down as we get the suction tube on it. And out that comes. I'm just going to give this a little bit of a pull. Is this going to come away? Doesn't look like it. It's kind of holding on for dear life in there. We're going to probably do the same thing. We've got the patient coming back anyway to get that little bit of dry skin away that's left on the eardrum, that sort of really hard skin that's left there. So if we got the patient coming back, they can oil this bit and we can just tidy that top section up as well. So we've got 2 centimeters, 3/4 of an inch. Well, guys, don't forget, if you did enjoy the video, you can always like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe for me. And if you have ear problems yourself, make sure you check out the link tree in the description. Book yourself an appointment with myself or the lovely Mr. Taylor Green. I'm going to pop a video up in the top corner there if you're watching this on YouTube. So that's something I think you're going to enjoy as well. So have a quick check of that one as well. But as always, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of your ears, and take care of one another. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye, everyone.